All right. We are back. Fresh Takes Podcast, Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo. Across from me, as always, man, myth, legend himself, Nick Felice. Nick, how you doing today? First nice day of the year, really, at least for us anyway. So.
Maybe for us being a little overweight.
Jeez.
It's a little too hot for us, but, Paul, this is episode number 84 of the Fresh Takes Podcast. Approaching 2 years of being on Finger Lakes 1. So, let's have a good show.
Yeah, and we have a first for us.
Yes.
Going on right now. So, Nick, I'll let you do the first intro here for him. And
so this, our guest is not in studio. This is our first ever virtual guest. I am honored to have my cousin's husband, Justin Kiefer, to join the podcast. Justin, where is he?
There we go.
There he is. Can you hear us, Justin? Can you
hear you loud and clear?
Oh, okay. He's making us nervous. So, Justin, you are an Alfred University alum.
Yep, graduated in 2011.
So you married my cousin Lindsay. You guys met at Alfred. Where are you from again? What's your hometown?
I'm from Middletown, Maryland, which is about an hour due west of Baltimore, out kind of more in the little bit of the boondocks, but in that good tri-state, quad-state area, pretty close to West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and not too far away from D.C., so get to a lot of different spots.
So you and my cousin now live... Are you my cousin now? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I'm your cousin by marriage, yep.
So you guys are starting a family. You got 2 kids now. You guys live in Hummelstown, PA. You played 4 years of lacrosse at Alfred, so you are now the men's assistant lacrosse coach for Lebanon Valley College. So how long have you been coaching now?
I will be going in my 10th season there at LVC coming up this January. So had my 9th season cut a little short here back in March with everything going on, but it's been 10 straight years there at LVC under head coach John Hall. And
I have the surprise. Stepped on my mic, but I am wearing my LVC shorts.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
There it is. You gave me pink ones. I think Lindsay gave me these for some reason.
That's because those look like basketball shorts.
Okay, all right. But I represent. So, Justin, you are living in Pennsylvania, so that is the state right below us. So how's it? What is it like in Pennsylvania? What's the coronavirus like there? What's the deal?
So the county I live in is called Dauphin County, which is pretty much Harrisburg. We live right a mile away from Hershey area for Hershey Park, but also with Hershey, we have one of the biggest and best hospitals on the East Coast in Hershey Medical Center. So we're one of the forefronts of the general area in terms of the COVID-19 response, and very also close to Lancaster, which is the Penn Medical, only about an hour away from Philadelphia too. So our county is still currently a red county. We're being told that hopefully by this Friday we're going to be moved to a yellow county. And then the county that LVC is in is called Lebanon County, which is about 15 miles east of here, and that is also a red county. So for what we're being told in terms of going back to work physically, I have to wait till my county that I work in actually goes into yellow as well. So even though I only live about 10 minutes away from my job, it won't be able to get back there until everything's kind of cleared up. So it's been pretty good right now. The traffic's been really light. The local areas have been fine. A lot of small businesses are slowly opening up and doing the whole takeout and everything. But I'm being told that I don't think Hershey Park's going to be even open for the summer, which is pretty mind-boggling for us. And Nick knows from being here before, but we live really close to a community park, and a lot of carnivals actually happen next to us, and I don't think any of those are happening as well.
What's the weather there today? It's 90 beautiful here today.
They were calling for it to be about 80 degrees here, and it definitely feels more than that from my enjoyable run outside. So I think it's definitely in the 80s plus right now.
Very
nice and sunny, no clouds in the sky.
Well, we're not talking lacrosse today, but we did give you a couple topics.
Yeah, I had one quick question. Okay. Since we are a sport podcast, because we obviously hear about the challenges for colleges at like the Division I level athletically, but LVC is Division III, and you're obviously on the coaching side of it. What challenges are you guys facing, at least in that realm right now?
So it's honestly at every level. Everyone's dealing it with the whether it's the recruiting part or whether it's the possibilities of budgets being kind of slashed and having to be reallocated to other parts, and that's kind of going college by college. As of currently right now, we're doing great as an institution, and we have some really great administration that are moving everything forward. And our administration's been really involved with our Governor Wolf and making sure that we can kind of get those small colleges getting up and get moving. For a lacrosse standpoint on the coaching side, usually actually starting this weekend would be a lot of the recruiting circuit to the tournaments and the showcases, and a lot of that's normally in this time and most of June are all being shifted into July, into the beginning parts of August, which are going to be kind of a crunching time because normally there's only a few every weekend, but now it's going to be almost like 20 tournaments per weekend, and it's going to really have to have an impact on a lot of college teams and their coaching staffs to see if they can be able to do this. And it's going to be even more impactful if some small colleges can't open up, or any coaches are furloughed at the time. And so this is going to have a long-standing impact for, I think, just every college out there, and not just from a lacrosse standpoint. And then I'm also the head equipment manager for the athletic department. So a part of that as well for me is I deal with all the laundry, jerseys, anything that involves the whole athletic department in terms of locker rooms and all that. And that's going to have a huge impact with all of our even upcoming fall sports. Everything you hear about Division I with football and the soccers, we're dealing with the same thing. So whether they're going to shift games, they're going to shift standings, you're going to have play with no fans, it's very big, and a lot of what happens in the fall will impact the rest of the school year for all the other sports.
All right. Thank you for that. Because that was something that I was wondering anyway.
Yep.
Because at least for me, like I don't know if Nick told you, but like this will be my second year, hopefully being a season ticket holder for Syracuse football. And at the time, even when I renewed, I'm like, am I really making the right strategy call for the fall? But at least for me, and Nick, you went to a small school too. It's really different compared, at least size-wise, and think about everything like athletically. You think about like the bigger schools that you hear about being like Alabama or whatever or something like that, and you think their budgets are endless. You got these small schools who are working on not even a shoestring what they got. So
we saw the MAC. You remember the MAC? Yeah. They canceled not the big sports, but some of the other conference tournaments.
And from the lacrosse standpoint, we've already sadly had one program get cut. Furman down in South Carolina has only been around for a few years, but an up-and-coming team in an up-and-coming conference in the SoCon.
Furman
they
also
got cut.
Their baseball team.
Them in baseball is what I was told got cut, and that was pretty eye-opening. And we're hoping that that's sadly the only person, but you never know what's going to go on, especially with some of these schools who don't have as much revenue making with football and all that. So this is going to be really impactful.
Yeah.
This is a really impactful situation for everyone involved, and all it takes is for some schools even to have kids come in late, or if they were to do an entire first semester online, big time. That's a big time impact on it.
For sure. All right, let's show everybody the topics quick that we got going on for today. Obviously, the match 2. We're going to be discussing that. NHL has an announcement at 4:30 today. Gary Bettman going on NBCSN in regards to the way it sounds coming back and how they're going to format that. So we'll discuss that a little bit. NASCAR officially has returned. We're about 3 races in on the Cup side of things. And then we'll discuss, obviously, football without fans, if that's going to be a possibility at this point. Oddly enough, today I saw, was it the Dolphins owner, I think, said that he's planning with fans at this point. Steelers, I think, are selling only half-season tickets at this point. So, obviously, differing views on what will actually be occurring in the fall. So,
we will discuss.
We'll touch on all of that. Anyway, the match, Tiger versus Peyton. They won over Phil and Tom Brady. Admittedly, I'm going to get ridiculed for this. I didn't watch a single part of it.
Oh, here we are.
Even though it was the most watched golf event ever. So I don't know which one of you guys really want to start. For me personally, it felt more gimmicky than the last one, which kind of turned me off a little bit. Just in terms of everything with it. So.
I'll start. So I did watch the back 9. I had it on. I was not really paying attention. I did see Tom Brady's chip in on 7, but I think this was great. I mean, they had the other golf last week. What was it, Dustin Johnson, Rory, and them?
Yeah.
That wasn't that entertaining. But if you put in Peyton and Tom Brady in this, I mean, you think of it's a golf event, but really it's an NFL event too, because Peyton and Tom Brady are involved. The NFL's greats right there. Obviously, you would hope there would have been better weather. It was pouring for most of it. But they did finish it out, even though it looks lighter than it is, even though it's really dark towards the 18th hole. But I think it actually was pretty competitive. Peyton and Tom Brady, they joke around a little bit, but Tiger and Phil, they don't want to lose to each other. But I thought it was very entertaining. Lots of humor. You have two big personalities and Phil Mickelson and Peyton Manning, and then you got Tiger Woods and Tom Brady. They're good with those one-liners. They got all 4 of them have a sense of humor. That's what made it. They had the mics. Charles Barkley was great, especially when Charles Barkley calling out Tom Brady how bad he was playing until he chipped that one in on seventh hole. I thought it was very entertaining. Like I said, obviously it was watched because it was the only thing on TV other than NASCAR. I'll give NASCAR some credit.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of overlap though.
No. I think it's something into the right direction of getting closer to sports, because obviously you look at golf. Golf is going to be fine. They're going to start without fans. The season will be fine. They will play these tournaments. Don't know how long they'll be playing without fans, but they will go on. But these other sports, you don't know. But yeah, that's my take. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Justin, did you watch it?
I actually watched a pretty decent amount of it.
Okay.
Between making dinner for the family and all that, it was definitely something I was looking forward to all day. So from the get-go, I mean, you kind of knew about Peyton and Tom already being pretty scratch golfers, especially Tom Brady. So when he was actually kind of struggling a little bit, it made me, the average to low average golfer, feel a little bit better about myself. But the one hole, I think it was 2 or 3, when both Tom Brady and Peyton Manning sliced and hooked their drives onto parallel fairways, a part of me just remembered that these guys are human. It made me feel so good about myself. I was a huge fan of it. I think knowing that Tom Brady and Peyton have been pretty good golfers, and having something like that where it's not just Tiger against Phil. I mean, we can just watch any other golf matches and get that sort of action. And I like the ability to kind of hear him talk a little bit more. Seeing Tiger in shorts, that was a mind blower to me, because everyone knows with golf, it's etiquette to wear pants at all times. So it was kind of nice, and it was nice to kind of get some ribbing going on. They were both getting at each other. They're all getting on the other golfers. But I think this is something that I think they should continue to build on, whether it's the same 2 golfers, whether the professional golfers that is, or if they're going to get a couple different of the pro guys. But I want to make sure, I think if they keep doing this, that they got to keep bringing in guys who can actually golf, and not just all right, who wants to throw the more money at charity, and then all of a sudden every drive is hitting the next, only getting the next tee box. So that was pretty awesome to watch, and I was very into it. Like I said, it's the most golf I've probably watched in a while. If the Masters is on, I try to catch that around. I mean, in college we would have the Masters on our TV all day, for 4 days, and people just walk in and out, and you would see it. So it was nice to be able to watch something like that. But I really enjoyed Peyton Manning. I wish that I could literally hang out with him every day. I think he was absolutely hilarious. I think he had a really good time with it. So the guys were really, really into that. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that, but it was nice to, like I said, nice to see some guys be kind of humanized by how good they are or how bad they are at golf, and knowing that they're like some of the best of their entire career at something. So, and then lastly, I was able to compare myself to Tom Brady a little bit, because I too have publicly split my pants at a situation. So knowing that someone else could do that easily like that, I felt pretty good about myself. So felt good to know that I'm not the only one that could do that.
And Peyton's a lot better golfer than a lot of people give him credit for. Like that shot he had on 18 to, I mean, the putt, Tiger put that right next to the hole to close out the win. But, you know, I'll ask both of you guys this. Do you think golf should have more players mic'd up in like normal tournaments?
I mean, I'll go first because I think every sport should have more mic'd up athletes. I mean, the shirt I'm wearing today is there's Wind Boys from Freddie Freeman during spring training. I mean, I think every sport should have more mic'd up, action. I think
the referees and umpires should be mic'd up too.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I think if you look at it from, I think any sport you could easily do a half-hour show once a week about this, like, players being mic'd up and saying something, you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's where I stand on it, probably as a whole, really.
What about you, Justin?
I'm into it. I just feel like at some point now that TV shows are really allowing some certain things on cable, whether it's cussing or some a little more expletive things, you just kind of have to let it go a little bit. There's a few times even during this match they kind of bleeped some stuff out, especially when Tiger was jawing right back at Charles Barkley. So I was like, but you could hear it was just a blank silence, but you could see his mouth talking. So you knew something was getting bleeped out. So it takes away kind of the organic part of it and the enjoyable part of it for me. So I feel like if you're going to do it, then just let it go. Otherwise, then don't do it at all. So I know it's, from my experience as a coach, when you have kids who want to do a warm-up tape and everything for a game and it's going, but we're told them if it's got a lot of cussing in it, just bleep it out or get it, erased off there. And all of a sudden you hear the whole entire thing going, why even have it? So I feel like it'd be really good, but to tell these guys like, hey, you need to watch your language and everything. Just it's either let them be themselves or don't have it at all. So
nice. Well, Justin, some reason your screen has frozen.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm noticing that myself on this end. I have to get my technician on, and I'll have to give him a call.
But we can hear you. So
yeah, I'm working on it from my end. So hopefully I'll get it working here.
All right.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that too, at least in golf, I mean, Phil, you look at Phil specifically anyway, I mean, he's been a known kind of guy that just will kind of just say whatever kind of comes off the top. He's quick with, like, usually one-liners and all that deal. So, I mean, to Justin's point, I'd almost rather them not be mic'd up if they're going to have to just edit it or tell them that, hey, watch what you say, like... It's just like, I'm with them. I mean, the one year that I coached baseball, they're like, hey, here's the CD that we're going to play. I'm like, all right, I'll listen to it, make sure it's good. And I'm like, came back the next day, I'm like, you guys are going to need to figure this out better. And they came back with a clean version, clean version anyway. And it was just, I mean, the most cut up thing ever. I'm like, there's no way that sounds aesthetically pleasing. So definitely understand where that one comes from.
I'm for it.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick, you mentioned the weather. I was kind of surprised, when I heard that they were going to still play with it and whatever. And but that's Florida, though. That's Florida, though, for you.
I know. Like, they were playing the practice round the day before, and it was really nice out. So it took a little bit out of it, but it was still good nonetheless. But
it was just fun seeing Brady struggle, too.
Yeah,
I do know that anyway. I mean, seeing Brady struggle was pretty great.
Phil beat Tiger in the last match, and then Brady's beaten Peyton a lot over his career. So, it was nice to get Tiger and Peyton a little bit of revenge.
Yeah. All right. I think that's probably really about it, at least in terms of that.
It was good.
Let's move right on to, I guess, NASCAR, because the main news out of that at least in my eyes, probably not even anything to do with the racing itself. Chase Elliott with the bird hurt seen around the world with Kyle Busch on Wednesday night, this past Wednesday night, which kind of leads into the segue of midweek racing. At least for me, I think it's pretty cool. Don't know if either of you guys tuned in at all. This is because it was something that was on and live and not something that was been taped, but it's really cool. Darlington's obviously, a crown jewel track. It wasn't its crown jewel event. That's still going to be happening later on this year with the Southern 500. But, it was different without the fans there. But, it doesn't, discriminate that the product that was able to produce on track and everything like that. It was fun seeing Darlington during the daytime too, at least last Sunday. But yeah, we had our fireworks and made the news and made the rounds with Chase Elliott. So with the incident with Kyle Busch, so that was pretty cool. Nick, we talked, we teased with you back and forth here on the last pod if you were going to tune in at all. So did you tune in at all?
I tuned in for the first race.
All right.
Not this last Sunday's race. I did notice though Brad Keselowski.
He did win the Coke 600.
He doesn't know how to cook though.
No.
I saw his wife was tweeting at him. I saw him on SportsCenter, and he had like a boiled egg. He just does not know how to cook anything. And his wife tweeted at him, "You better remember to shut the fridge." So I thought that was pretty funny. I think, as an ESPN follower, I've noticed NASCAR has been on there a lot more. So I think publicity-wise, this has been huge for NASCAR to come back. So I think I don't know how many more fans have become of NASCAR, but people are definitely, I think, more intrigued right now because there's not a lot on TV. But I think it's huge for NASCAR. And I know you're not a big fan of UFC. It's huge for that. But any sport that's going on right now is huge. And that's why it would be huge for the MLB to do something. But NASCAR-wise, are they Watkins? Did that get canceled?
No, it's still on.
Oh, it's still on.
At the moment.
Without fans. That's right, yeah. Obviously, I don't know about you. You're a bigger NASCAR guy than I noticed that NASCAR is that one sport you're like, okay, it's not that big of a deal without fans. But obviously, I've never been to a race. Justin has actually been to a race.
I didn't. I did not know this.
Justin, tell me where you went.
So I think it was 2007. I went to Richmond in the spring race. I was just in case you're a race connoisseur and you know all your history, it was a night race that got turned into a day race because it got rained out that night, and so they actually had it the next morning at like at 10 or 11 in the morning.
Yep.
So it was definitely an interesting experience at the age of 18, but the one thing that was really nice to see, everyone hated Jeff Gordon. So there was a lot of Jeff Gordon haters, whether it's the hat and people were throwing things at fans, or when he did his opening ride around the track, everyone had their own way of saying hello to him. But it was a really, really awesome experience. I had family that grew up liking Bobby Labonte and of course Dale Earnhardt. So we had a lot of like that. Tony Stewart, that was another one in the family that we liked. And so I as a kid, I even remember watching a little bit of the race when Earnhardt Sr. passed away. So that was actually something I actually did with my dad. I remember watching that a little bit. But yeah, no, I went to Richmond back in 2007, and I've still said I would love to go to another race. Would love to go to another race someday.
Yeah, so actually the race you're going to, I'm going to nerd here for a second. That would have been the chase race. No, the bubble race to get into the chase then, if I'm remembering right. Although it could be wrong. Actually, I think I am wrong. That might have been the spring race where it got rained out that year. Richmond undoubtedly always has one race a year where rain affects it. And Richmond's one of my favorite tracks. I've been there 3 times now, so. But, yeah. As a Gordon fan, I got called a lot of interesting things in the stands back in the day as like an 8-year-old. So
they don't like Gordon over there.
No, the further south you go, the more they don't. Well, that kind of is what it is.
Don't worry, I got, what is it? I went to a lot of Buffalo Sabres games with the Capitals jersey on, so worked out pretty well for my favorite as well.
Yeah, so we got that.
So is Central Pennsylvania, is that a big NASCAR community down there or what?
I would say for the part that I'm in, you're going to get a lot of it. It's here and there. I would say that there's probably a lot more of the football. The two big sports that are here that are, I guess you would call the more non-traditional sports that in my area are wrestling and field hockey. Big time, especially with Penn State being one of the top wrestling programs in the country for history. And then field hockey, girls here are normally like Division I All-Americans that win national champions, and one is my neighbor. So the U.S. training facilities right down the street. So it's that's a big one here for sure.
I was gonna say too, racing wise, at least in really, I'd say the central and then sweeping westward into Pennsylvania gets more dirt racing fans than anything else. If you're looking from a racing specific aspect of it, I mean they have PA Dirt Week is huge. So, but. Yeah, I know. Circling back anyway, like Nick, I know you asked like Watkins Glen. It's gonna be interesting because I think with Pocono kind of in the wind still at the moment, because I know the area that Pocono's in. I can't remember the county off the top of my head. I want to say Berks maybe or something like that. They need to get to. I can't remember if they're yellow phase or not now off the top of my head. I'm having like a brain fart. But like the only way they can even have the race even without fans is if they get to the yellow phase by either this week or next week, because the race weekend down there is the last weekend of June. So, yeah. Going to be interesting there.
So you happy for your sport though?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I be? I'm able to gamble slightly now with daily fantasy again, so that helps. Haven't been able to do anything with it yet. But, I mean, having racing on nearly every night's been a nice change of pace even for me. And, I mean, even I can't tell you the last time I saw anything like Xfinity, which was, the second tier of racing, bet on SportsCenter and led off SVP the other day because of Chase Briscoe's win. So, I mean, it was an awesome race last night. You got the Truck Series making their return tonight, and the Trucks usually give, in my mind, the best show of the week. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, how's your screen coming?
It's still black on my end.
Oh, it's black now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried to do the whole virtual background, and I mean I've never used Zoom before, so this is my first time using it. We use a different setting for our college, so it's a little bit different. I'm doing my best here, but you still got me.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. As long as we can hear you, that's all that matters.
Let's head over to the NHL then. Obviously, the announcement now with Bettman's announcement anyway coming in about an hour. Looking like 2014 playoff, the way it's kind of maybe not leaked, but it's kind of been the general assumption. So let's, I guess, start there. What are your guys' thoughts kind of on 24 teams? Because for me, still getting over the PTSD of last year with the Lightning and Columbus, I prefer really the less teams the better, but I understand what they're doing because of the obviously the regular season getting chopped off. So Justin, I'll go to you first. I know obviously you're a big Caps fan, so our teams, Lightning and Caps, aren't in too rough a shape no matter what here. But what are your thoughts, kind of at least on the 24 team format if we go forward with it?
So I'm for whatever allows us to get that playoff hockey really into it, but at the same time, a lot of these guys have been sitting around, so they're really not getting the full go for, whether it's training. Say if it would have been in a season setting and we heard that a guy, let's say Sidney Crosby was hurt for X amount of weeks, which would have knocked him out of playoffs, well, or put him in a chance to not be available for playoff contention. Now he's able to get himself back and be healthy. It kind of puts everybody back at zero, when really the biggest thing about hockey is how much of a grind it is, and the people who win the Stanley Cup, they're warriors. They've gone through a really, really tumultuous season, physically, mentally, emotionally, and so Part of me is not going to be 100% hurt at all if there's nothing at all. But 24 team playoff is going to be really, really difficult, especially if you're going to try to find whether it's multiple sites or a single site area, because you're going to have to find a couple sheets of ice and they're going to have to deal with hotels. And then what do you do if a player gets it and gets tested? And, what if it's someone with a team? And you look at some of these guys over the English Premier League, they tested hundreds of people and 2 people had it. So what do you do? If 2 guys get it on the same team, is the team out now? What if the team was in the first place? So, but I think 24 teams is going to be really, really difficult with that number. But at the same time, how do you justify, not keeping those 24 teams? If you go like, oh, we talk about 24, now we go to 12. So if we go to a 12 team format, how do you say, all right, this is the cutoff from 13 and down, you guys aren't in it, and they're going to be like, why not? How come I can't do this? And so, but there might be other teams that would actually approve of being that 13 and down, because they like, look, for our budget standpoint as a franchise, we really need to be able to save money. So I think if you were to give some teams the option to do it, there might be a few out there that say, look, we would consider not doing it, but with no fans and not be able to sell seats and not being able to bring in that money, it's going to be a little difficult. And being able to find sites that are going to be good, it's going to be really tough, especially if any of these guys went out of the country. Now you got to bring them back. You're paying for flights, and it's, you almost want to tell them, why did you just leave in the first place? And then lastly, I would say the biggest thing with those 24 teams is like some of those teams like the Rangers and the Capitals, you're coming into big time city settings. That are you going to have them practice and come back to where their homes are there, or are you going to have them go somewhere else? And because I think some of these people are not going to want to bring their families to DC and New York City to try to get a playoff series, and they're putting their family into risk at all with this COVID-19. Sorry for the possible rant, but
no, you're
no,
fine.
It's good. There's a lot of questions dealing with it. The first thing that comes to my mind is fantasy hockey's over, but not just us, for every fantasy hockey league out there, because there's no more regular season. But it is good if you're a New York Rangers fan, but because we'll be the first 11 seed to win the Stanley Cup, it's too many questions. I think with any of these league sports, there's going to be a lot involved. Like Justice said, what if one guy gets it or 2 guys get it? Then you got to deal with that, and then you got to test everyone that they play. Maybe they played already 3 games in like a week stretch. So you got to test all those teams. There's going to be a lot of testing involved. And I'm for it because I obviously am bored. I want to see something. So where are any locations they announced? Where are they doing this?
I think the main one obviously is Vegas, which is I don't want to put a full 100% on it, but I find it very interesting that the NBA has steered away from it in the past week to 10 days, as the NHL has kind of firmed up their plans more. And at that token, obviously Vegas has a couple arenas, but I think the only one that for sure can do hockey would be T-Mobile, which is where the Knights play. So, at that point, do you and this is kind of like, I was thinking this over the weekend a little bit. Do you say incorporate Phoenix, which is a straight shot down an interstate from Vegas? It's a couple hours travel. Do you put everybody on a bus at that point, say everybody in Vegas, but travel back and forth like that quick? If you go for the only one location aspect of it, logistically, I can't see a way you put 1 or 2 locations on one side of the country, then the same thing on the other side. Logistically, that's just a nightmare waiting to happen, in that realm. And then Justin brings up, in my mind, the best point of all is you got hockey more than any other sport. really maybe outside of baseball. But hockey, you have more players coming, especially from Europe, in areas that, either A, were hit hard by COVID, or in the case of Russia, you don't really know what the hell is going on. At least you look at the Lightning side of things. We have a handful of Russians that we usually carry on the roster with us at all times, and people like Keselowski, Sergachev, and Kucherov are big players for us. And I know at the very least Sergachev and Vasilevsky stayed stateside, so which helps. But I mean, there's a lot of hurdles you'll have to get over here, which is why it's interesting we have this announcement coming up today. I don't know, Justin, what do you think the plan is? I'm betting we won't see any action for probably about a month or so, only because of the travel hoops that players are going to have to get to.
Do we know yet if the U.S.-Canada border is open yet, or anything like that, or flights in from other countries even into the U.S.? I mean, that's going to be a big part.
Yeah, I know border-wise, I think the expiration date was supposed to be this Friday, but I've heard they're going to kick it out at least another 2 weeks, from everything I've heard anyway.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're still going to look at where – I don't know how bad Canada was hit with this whole thing, because then there's going to be the argument of the Canada team saying, hey, why don't you all come up here? Or why don't they all – because, like I said, if you're going to be doing this, you bring up a good point about Vegas with a nice area and being able to do it, but at the same time, save money. You don't need to do these huge rinks anymore because you're not going to have fans. Yeah. So – that's when you want to look at sheer amount of ice so that you can give practice facilities. You have the ability to,
at least
games and everything. I mean, all it takes is a little bit of camera crew, and you're gonna be just fine. You can. So, to me, actually, a great location. Real quick would be Dallas.
Yeah.
With a growing area like that, you're gonna see a lot of areas that are gonna look the. Where's the sheer amount of area that both has the amount of hotels and has the amount of rinks that can even apply to that. And so, the rings that I grew up, we had 2 sheets, and we're in a small area, but there's some of those places in the surrounding Dallas metro area I've heard can have multiple rings, multiple sheets of ice, and you can have multiple games going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to get that, because if you start really trying to pound away at one rink or even three rinks or 24 teams, man, you're going to be putting that crew together, putting them all night. They're going to be working on the ice, and all it takes is a couple little mishaps, and it's going to kill it.
Yeah.
So I think the best case scenario, and some people don't want to hear it, just forego it. It is what it is. There's a lot of. Look at all the college sports that have had to do it. I know everybody wants the pro sports to be back, but hockey was at the tail end. No one's going to hold them against it for not making an attempt, because there's a lot of these guys who have families that want to watch out for their families.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is there's some people that they may have been holding back on their paychecks and everything, but I could see almost, if they're really going to push it, 24 teams is too much. I think that if anything, they're going to less it down to 8 to 12 in that range. Once again, how do you justify the 8 to 12 people? But having a location that's going to be able to hold 24 teams locally, and you're looking for 24 hotels probably, because they're going to be just that, because they're going to need all their support staff, and the way that they're probably going to do the hotel rooms to be even safe is they're going to need, one room per guy instead of normally a two rooms for 2 people for a room. They're going to be as safe and as humanly possible, and that's going to be a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So they could see that being more towards the 8 to 12 range, if I had to say anything about it. But it's whether or not now they're going to be able to get guys again from Europe and Canada that are going to want to come to the United States, and then you're going to have to talk to them like, okay, where in the United States are we going to go, where you're going to have all these rinks available that you're going to make these players feel safe. So I think it's going to be an interesting thing. I'm not holding my breath, sadly. As much as I would like to be able to see hockey on TV, thankfully ESPN Plus has games on demand, but I've kind of understood it at this point.
I want sports back too, but if it was my choice, I would cancel both the NBA and the NHL, because the college basketball, and I'm a way bigger college basketball fan than I am NBA and NHL, and that got canceled and it's passed, and I'm over it. You get over it when the day comes when it was supposed to happen. When the tournament was going on or the playoffs, you're like, yeah, it's a little bummer that that's not going on right now. But you get over it. It's the middle of the summer. I think these leagues, they're not gonna, but I think they should just focus on next year. But they're not gonna. 4:30 today, the NHL is gonna come out with this 2014 playoff, and that's definitely gonna happen.
Well, I mean, that's what people are saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with Justin. I've said, just keep it as is. Go 8 or 12. And it's funny you bring up the Canada thing, Justin, because an idea popped in my head. If you want to keep things relatively close by, I mean, play in these spots that OHL teams play at. I mean, they're all fairly close together. Whether you have to go from Mississauga to Toronto to Kingston to, I'm trying to think of where all the freaking teams are still at this point in that league. Sault Ste. Marie, everything's kind of within driving distance of that still. But I mean, the issue at that point comes down to the money and logistics of it. And it's not worth it. I've said all along, at least on the NBA side, I don't see them coming back. I think there's too many questions with them, obviously. And then obviously you think about hockey, and I at this point I just don't see how you could do it either. But
We will see.
it's all above my pay grade. I know that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I'm seeing, excuse me, it's you could look at those small rinks and try to find a generalized area where you can, like I said, you could look in the O and try to find those rinks a little bit closer. But then again, you're looking at buses, you're looking at bus fares.
Yeah.
From my experience in my position, there's a lot of logistics that the normal person, I would say the normal people out there, and that just like general sports, that don't look at. But when you're looking at even the buses, there's these bus companies that have already been talking about how they're going to block off the first few rows of the seats so that you can keep the safe distance away from the driver. And then, they're going to probably require these guys to sit a couple of seats away. Well, it's a bus of 50, but you're taking the whole staff with you. You're not just taking this team, which the team can be up to 30 guys.
Yeah.
A couple guys aren't dressing, but you're talking about trainers, coaches, any other
Equipment,
admin,
the
anybody
equipment
front
guys.
office. I mean, it's going to be a big time thing. And then some of these franchises have their own planes, some don't. So some people could be at a disadvantage already right there.
Yeah,
So-
and, I mean, you bring up, like, obviously stuff with the bus, and this is something that, I'm guessing that you for sure run into every now and then, and some of that people don't think about either is the liability aspect of it, with these teams and who would be outside vendors, whether it's a hotel or bus or whatever. I mean, I cannot imagine the insurance waivers, what they would look like, that all parties would have to sign off on this at this point.
And sadly, even at this point, some of those places might be already gone.
Yeah.
They might already thought, look, we just lost a ton of revenue, a ton of business, and we had to close shop. So it's kind of like too late. So again, I want to watch as much hockey as humanly possible, but I think it's in the best interest of all sports, and NBA. Nick's well aware I have to hear about NBA every day in this family now, and so it's just one of those logistically just do the right thing. I mean, we had to do it with canceling our season, and I could tell you that I wanted to play those games, play the rest of the season. My players could tell you the same thing, but at the same time, and now as a parent, I can cliche say, like, you got to do what's safe and it's right for the kids or the players, and that's the right thing to do. And you're taking, the only thing is you're looking at, those ticket prices. Well, are those people who are really crazy fans, are they expect you to pay? They're like, hey, I have my season ticket, but you're playing in Dallas. Are you going to, if I fly to Dallas, am I getting a free ticket in?
Yeah.
Or so.
There's a lot of nightmare situations.
And it's coming. The announcement is coming here soon.
Yeah. So let's move on to the final topic of football without fans, or half fans, or whatever you want to call it. Really, at this point.
Because college football is approaching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both are. That's the thing. Everybody kind of gets going here within the next really 3 to 5/6 weeks, depending upon what program it is, at least from the big schools or obviously professional side of things. I alluded to it with myself with Syracuse. I'm not 100% too sure why I exactly renewed for this year, outside of maybe just making sure I'm able to maintain my seat and everything like that for going forward and everything. But it's such a weird time because they're planning out, and really football's the best sport to obviously in the wait and see. I mean, they obviously are able to see kind of, at the very least what NASCAR is able to do from the competition side. But obviously NASCAR is saying no fans, everything like that. And then you have football owners effectively having different theories amongst themselves at this point, and it's a tricky situation right now, I think, in the NFL, let alone really the NCAA, because you have not just separate states, but in the institutes themselves, where you have conferences saying, whether or not they're going to control anything or not. You have, effectively, I think the Big 12 is going hands off with it, I think, overall. I think the Big 10, or I might be getting confused, Big 10 said that they'll only play if fans are in the stands. Like, it's a really strange landscape collegiately for football.
I think it's huger for college football to play without fans than it is in the NFL, because college football, the whole, there's the game, but the aspect of just this being at a college football game is the tailgating, all the festivities that come up before the big game. I mean, that's the fans. I mean, that is the number one fun part about college football. And to just play those big stadiums like Michigan, Alabama, Texas A&M, those places without fans would just be weird. I think it'd be strange. I mean, obviously, NFL games without fans would be weird too, but it'd just be odd. And then I think about, what about high school football? They're gonna play without fans.
Well, that's a different beast, because that's will have to be a state level decision, not a private / whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
decision.
Especially high school football.
I mean, they don't even know if there will be
a school
in school schooling in the fall.
It's just a lot of those fans are their parents. I mean, to play games and not have your parents there. I mean, yeah, they might do a thing where few people are allowed in, but I think it would be odd. That would be the number one sport that would be odd without fans, is football. I mean, I don't know. It'd just be weird. Justin, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, so I think it's one of those. It's probably just smart just to not do it, just to not have the fans and make it like that. From the professional NFL standpoint, I have only been to, I think, one NFL football game since my son was born in 2017. So the ticket prices are way too expensive for me to even almost enjoy going to a football game.
Say it louder for the people.
So I'm good. I'm good with watching it from home. College football game, I haven't been to a college football game in 10 years. So I'm one of the fans that likes watching everything at home, and it'd be, yes, the tailgate experience, the whole aura of it and everything, but that's, again, you're putting everybody around each other, and the tailgate can lower the immune system a little bit there, and if anybody has that, it can spread like wildfire. And as as football kind of moves itself on, you're looking right into flu season.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a school like Notre Dame. They've been the first one to come out and talk about how what they're going to do is they're going to have those students and student athletes come to school and start school at the beginning of August, and then at Thanksgiving, once they go home for Thanksgiving, then they're home until the beginning of the next semester. That's their elongated winter break because of the possibility of A, everyone kind of mingling around and getting sick, and then B, looking at the flu season at that time of year. So football is in that perfect time where it changes into seasons, and you guys are especially in an area where the the seasons can change much more quickly and drastically than a place like down here, or as you get down to Florida, and Texas, and those parts of California, it's gonna be warm all year. So it's gonna be big. And then the high school standpoint, I mean, it's exactly what you said. That's gonna be even more state thing. Like the state of Pennsylvania might say, hey, we're gonna do it, but we're only gonna allow this many games, or hey, the state of New York's like, we're not going to do it at all, or it has to be done within an indoor facility. And then you're looking at probably everyone like going to the Dome, and then you're going to have to do all sorts of scheduling mishaps there. And there's going to be a lot of variables that are going to come into play for a lot of decisions to be made. But one idea I've heard about, and I think the Professional Lacrosse League got this from one of the soccer leagues out there, is you can actually pay money to have a personal size cutout of yourself or your face or a body shape to be put into your season seat.
Wow. I think they're doing something similar in the KBO too to that.
Like I think if they do that for the Professional Lacrosse League, I'm putting one in. And if I could do that for a Ravens game, I think it'd be hilarious to do. Just like, yep, I just want to make sure I'm in this seat every game, and I'll pay for. Yeah. I think just be really, really funny.
Yeah.
But a part of me just thinks if you're going to be putting, again, a lot of people in the situation where all it takes is to have like one person to get someone sick, and it is what it is. Now you're already putting those guys at risk playing the football game, so I'm not going to be shocked if there's not going to be fans at all. I think and once again, it's going to be weird, I think, because you're going to be able to hear a lot more. This is when the whole mic'd up thing is going to come into play. But it doesn't really bother me for the college and the professional standpoint, since I really don't attend as many games as you guys probably would. But it's the high school standpoint, that's going to be crippling to some communities.
Yeah.
Crippling.
Yeah, you want to know the last NFL game I went to? It was a Jets-Bills game in 2014. So both teams were just right at their peak of talent and performance.
And I've never been to an NFL game. And I might be surprised at something. But when I think of it...
Wow, really?
Yeah, no, I've never been to an NFL game.
I attended Alfred University, has season tickets for the Buffalo Bills for the 2010-11 season. And you've lived up in that area your entire life, and you've never been to a Bills game?
Well, I mean, I'm not a Bills fan, so I just and it's never come across.
I mean, I became a Bills fan. I mean, everyone becomes a Bills fan at some point in their life, and
I mean, I like the Bills. No, I don't hate the Bills.
No, yeah. I mean, as much as I enjoy the ambiance and the roar, everything about going to an NFL game, this might be one of those things where owners like, hey, guess what? We're going to have fans available. People, and they're like, here are the tickets. Well, there might be people out there like, I'm not going to pay to have a chance of getting sick, and they still might go down ticket price.
When I think of teams, I'm sorry. Go on.
You're good.
I was just going to say, when I think of teams like Seattle, New Orleans, those teams with home field advantages that are just gone now. So it's like when they're playing at home, I don't know. I mean, maybe your Redskins, Paul, Justin, your Ravens. it's your home field advantage is gone.
And also, you're going to look at some of these teams that are in complete what they would call the hot spots for this whole COVID-19. Like anybody, are you going to keep people out from New York City to go see a Jets-Giants game? That's a big deal. Like those people, there's a lot of people that come from the inner city to go see that. New Orleans, that's another one. It's another just hot spot.
Yeah.
And it could be the same thing like everywhere else. It might be like, Baltimore somehow is green and ready to go, but New Orleans is red, and they still red by the first game is like, no, we can't have fans here. And it's I do like the idea of there's been talk out there that they might just do no fans, but allow them to put in fan sound, kind of like the old Atlanta Falcons kind of got in trouble with, and a lot of teams and stuff like that. I'm into that. I'm into a little bit of home field advantage like that. I was told of a story for Maryland lacrosse that what they used to do, I think it was Coach Cottle, Dave Cottle, when he was the head coach there, when his team would go out there and warm up for games, they would play, their warm-up music and loud, thunderous, like rock music. And then when they would go inside and the other team was still warming up, they would play like classical music. little gamesmanship.
Wow.
Class. It would be hilarious to see if the Patriots, when they go inside, they start playing like a story, like some sort of nighttime story for whoever they're playing as like the background music and stuff like that, or Baby Shark or something.
That would be something.
Yeah, I know, Nick, I had to be the bearer of bad news for you here, but the Redskins haven't had home field advantage since, like, 99.
Nope.
I don't know what you're talking about there, but, yeah, no, it sucks for me at least. The Redskins are supposed to play, well, at the moment they still are playing in Cleveland at the end of September, and I've never seen the Redskins in person, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to now, but...
I guess just real quick, Justin, what do you think of your Ravens this year?
We've always had high expectations in Baltimore. The other team on the other side of 95 really has kind of lost those expectations. So
yeah, baby, we suck.
So I'm excited for another great year. I think that we got probably the steal of the draft, and I think that's going to be a really good thing. But I still think we need some sort of alpha dog receiver. I think we're a very fast and slot receiver and tight ends, getting those shorted yards, and as much as Steve Smith was a downhill, could get deep and get some good balls to him. I kind of wouldn't mind if we can somehow find ourselves another Anquan Bold and Russo with a little more height. So if you can throw a nice little jump in the corner, that we have some sort of height advantage that's not a tight end.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be another great team and bring some energy. We got to protect Lamar and come with speed again. We'll see how it plays out.
Best kicker in the league, though.
Oh, and Tuck we trust.
Tuck we trust. Yes, he is.
All right, so that takes us to the end of the podcast. If you guys haven't already, like, share, subscribe. If you're on the YouTube channel, download their app. Nick, we'll go to you first, obviously. Who are you shouting out today?
I'm shouting out a guy that Justin knows very well. I'm going to shout out Kyle Murphy.
Good guy.
Yeah, it's been hard on him with his breweries closed, and Justin is a big brewery guy. I'm a big brewery guy. Paul's a big brewery guy. It's a big brewery family here. But Kyle especially, though, because he's it's been tough for him, but I did see on his Instagram story the other day he was outside a brewery drinking. So things are looking better, Kyle.
Yeah, Cuyahoga County, where Cleveland is, has kind of opened back up some stuff a little bit.
And so. Kyle is my cousin Lindsay's brother, who is married to Justin, if you don't remember from the beginning of the show. So shout out Kyle.
Justin, thanks for coming on. We
you were
appreciate
great.
it. This was fun
Thank you for having
us,
me.
and hopefully for you too.
Well, the great thing about Justin is he's one of the few people that is recommending to come on when we go back to our 10 p.m. shows, and he can do it. So we're going to get redemption for Justin next time he's on. And we got, the fans got to see what you look like for a little bit. But it was good that we still got to talk to you. Great job, Justin, really.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I think there's a few people in the house I'll have to fire for this, but we'll figure that out. And,
we'll work it next time.
No snack time for a few people, I think. But
there will be a next time, though. No worries.
I hope so. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Justin.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. See you guys.
See ya. All right. So again, guys, like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Again, not too sure when we'll exactly be coming back for our next podcast, but until then, stay safe, and we'll see you next time on the Fresh Takes Podcast with Russo and Felice.